But I can take some AMA before we go. Looks like, here, let's go to this view for some final chats. Phil Fister wants to know how different Best of One will be. I don't know if it'll be that different. Maybe it'll be even more frustrating because you're like, that deck came out of nowhere, clocked me, and then ran off into the woods, and was like, but I think that's just in your head. You know, in terms of actions you can take to increase your win percentage given the change from Best of 3 to Best of 1, that's specific to war. I don't know about specific to war. Let's think about that, because like, what's not specific to war in that transition? Sideboard cards become useless, and you need to come up with what main deck solutions to some of the narrower threats that you want to have available. So I think the challenge then for Best of One in war is going to be understanding what kind of Planeswalker control elements we main deck, given that in draft some decks don't really play them at all. There's very there's good black-red aggro decks that just don't end up running any because they don't show up. Rob wonders if it's better to commit early to colors. I don't think that changes anything. At least not in the Best of One versus Best of 3. If you're talking about the approach here, I would say in general, I think it's not better to commit early to colors. You commit early to your colors if they have Insano bombs, but because you because if you don't have Insano bombs, you want to have the flexibility to switch toward them like we did. We had we looked heavy green and light white after pack 1, and then pack 2, pick 3, we got the blue god and decided we were at the very least green, looking to find horizons to splash the god, but then we ended up entirely in blue, and that was chasing power. So yeah. Fiddle says, if you could speak any language fluently as a second language, what would you choose? There's the gamer answer, which is like there's some old book, or like I would choose an ancient language that would help the education, would help the world learn some old language, like translate some scrolls is what I'd like to do. That's my gamer answer. Come up with a language that helps decipher something ancient and cool. And then my more practical everyday life answer would actually be Chinese, because my stepmother was born and raised in Taiwan and came to America for college and met my dad in the 70s. And I have a huge Chinese contingent in my family because of my stepmom, and it would be sweet to instantly be able to chat with all of them in their native language and blow their minds that I suddenly was able to. Yeah, or maybe the super nerdy answer would be like Phyrexian, and then or Elvish, Tolkien Elvish. Has your opinion of Price of Betrayal changed any? I've generally found plenty of targets for it. Maybe it's ticked up a little bit, but I'm still not loving it, because it doesn't kill creatures unless it's killing an army, and I still don't want to generally run that on most of the uncommon planeswalkers, Price of Betrayal. There's some good ones that I'm willing to use that on after they've already gotten some value. Arlen, if they tick down Arlen once, I'm happy to strand them for just a single wolf or whatever. I don't know. There was one Raptor asked if Linear A was the undeciphered language I was talking about. No, I think there was... Isn't there a prize for deciphering this one volume or book, or like maybe there was some really weird book that nobody knew what language it was written in. I don't know. It's a much better story if I could actually have the historical thing I was talking about. Yeah, ancient Greek and Hebrew would be neat to just study old texts like that. Yeah, be fun to study be able to read old texts fluently. Haxim asks, are the EVs in the spreadsheet up to date? I'm a free-to-play player with a bunch of gold stockpiled and want to play as much limited as I can when War Best of 1 drops. Looks like ranked versus traditional is kind of a wash at a 50% win rate. It's the tables are accurate. They just don't take into account gem grinding. So the ability at the end of a season to get more value out of drafts by having 4x of all your rares and mythics. So if you end up like if the way you play tends to fill up your rares and mythics by the end of the season, then that really gives traditional quite a boost, because in traditional, let's just look at let's cover that question by looking at the queues themselves. So what I'm not tracking in the spreadsheet is the impact of these booster packs on your EV. And in traditional, you go up the scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra boosters for 5.0. So the expected value in boosters 1 in traditional is much higher than in ranked, where it's flat with a % chance of getting a second. So 24, 26, 30, 35, 40, and then 7 win just has 2. So you're getting somewhere between 1 and 2 packs per draft in ranked. And if you're not going to fill up your rares and mythics, that's pretty negligible for your draft value. But if you are going to fill up your rares and mythics, it does give an extra boost to traditional that I have not calculated specifically in those EV tables yet. And it's on my long list of things to do. But that's the consideration there. And then again, the consideration is actually what are you playing for? I offer several EVs in my spreadsheet. If we look at it, you can go check that out as well. There we go. If you look at it, there's just your straight EV, which you could go for highest percent EV. But ultimately, I think the two main questions are you simply trying to get the most event value, like the cheapest final cost? Actually, we should go down here because here's ranked and traditional. So if you want to find the cheapest final cost, then you look at this number and see that, the final cost for the draft here is much cheaper than the final cost for a full draft here. But if you translate that into actual number of games that you expect to play, and you care about your games per dollar, then they become much more close. And this is again the 50% win rate. So traditional is a little more expensive in that world, and then that's why it really matters whether you're expecting to 4x or not. Because if you're expecting to 4x, you're going to start to mitigate this extra cost through those extra booster packs. But if you're not going to 4x, then you're pretty starkly looking at a less expensive draft experience to play in the ranked queues. So there you go on that. What else you got? That sounds right. The Vonich manuscript? I think the Vonich manuscript sounds correct. Is there a prize for that? The Reset Press asks, how far along was War when you left Wizards? What is the last set that was in development when you left? The thing is, it was probably that, but it's tough for me to say because I was on the Arena team for the last couple years and not in R&D. My sense of where R&D was with any given set was lost. I wasn't tracking that very carefully. It's amazing. You can work at Wizards, and if you're not in R&D proper, you're actually pretty out of the loop in terms of scheduling and timelines on the work R&D is doing. So Oh yeah, okay, that's true. Maybe I did hear about that. They did figure it out. Worked in it, still very out of the loop. Yes, exactly. Well, then, yeah. If the Vonage manuscript is translated, I would find something that would just be the coolest thing to snap suddenly and be able to understand from a historical perception. Question: when are we getting coffee? Well, I'm about to quit streaming early. You want me to come down for lunch today? I actually probably could. But I may go do some shopping for my daughter's birthday. Yeah, I don't have a cake here yet. I get a cake or something. Anyway, happy birthday to my girlie. Oh, we'll talk, Robert. We'll talk. If not today, soon. I do need to make a trip down to Renton and say hi to old friends, old coworkers, and grill them with lots of questions. Like, Robert, if we have lunch, you better find out for me why they won't let me play ranked or play a traditional draft of the latest set for rank when it comes out. I know I get the design decisions that they're pressing up against with that, but it makes no sense, man. Here's the new Magic set. Don't play it in ranked. Find out who's to blame for the submarine. That's true. Yeah, it's probably a Lee Sharp question or whomever they gave my work to after I left. That's why it annoys me so much, is that if I had stayed on and were continuing the work I was doing, it probably would have been in my wheelhouse to make those types of decisions, and I'm really unhappy with where it landed. That's funny. Robert said the sub is Jules Verne's fault, and I saw Jules and thought you were just throwing Jules under the bus, Robert. Not Jules Verne. Can we just blame the Jules that is in R&D then? You heard it here first. Robert blames it on Jules. I'm going to quote that. And thank you, Mr. Funktastic, for that sub. I appreciate that. Yeah, let's all spread the rumor that Robert Schuster blames Jules. What's Jules' last name? I forget. Jules, not Verne. The Jules, not Verne. Anyway, again, I could find a place to send you all 37 of you, but it looks like there's a lot of content out there today with the Rivals, and I'll see about getting signed up so that you can watch me in that next time it's on, instead of me quitting early because nobody's hanging out. But we'll see. And thank you though for hanging out. It warms my heart that with all the options those of you still with me had today, that you both hung out with me through that rather frustrating draft there by the end, and hung out with me for some chats at the end. So thanks all, and have a great day, and happy birthday, Clara. We'll see you tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.